So, in the immortal words of Doctor Strange, slightly paraphrased, let's Bob Ross this thing. I'm going to try and put together this display doing just the voiceover for this, because sometimes I think I can maybe, arguably, be a little bit over-enthusiastic on occasions and, dare I say, somewhat exhausting to listen to. So this is going to be me kind of taking myself down to maybe an 8 out of 10, and we can just relax, chill out, and enjoy seeing this little display come to life here. So Galactus, I bet everyone was so happy to see that he fits into 2 layers of a Detolf. Thank goodness. I'm sure Hasbro must have used some common sense when they were building him, and they thought, hang on, how are most people going to be wanting to display him in a nice confined Detolf? Now that's going to be one of the rules I put to this display as well, is that I'm not going to build out more than I will ultimately have space for, because I could just put him on the floor and just have non-stop figures coming at him and just make a gigantic display, but nah. I'm posing him in a 2-story Detolf, so that's the space we're going to work with. Now, for any display, I like to have a bit of a story, bit of headcanon, like, why is this happening? It's not just random things thrown in. So Galactus, he's going to be battling the Marvel heroes, and of course, Galactus fighting any hero should be like a mugging, basically, unless he is super hungry and therefore depowered, and that has happened before. So because Galactus isn't as towering as he could be, that means he's not at his full strength. Therefore, you've got characters like Iron Man and so on and so forth who can literally go toe-to-toe in a physical confrontation. Galactus is one of those cosmic-type characters who is as powerful as the writer needs him to be. Or in this case, the action figure shelf builder. So in this one, Galactus is getting down and dirty and fisticuffs are being thrown against the Marvel heroes. So let's see how we put this together. And we're starting off with Silver Surfer right here. I didn't take him off so that I could reposition him for this video because I thought, you know what? I've got him perfectly where I want him, and it was a real balancing act to get him there. So I'm going to leave well enough alone, but you can see I kind of wedged a little flight stand into Galactus's abdomen. It works really, really well. So I'm really happy with that. Of course, we do have the flight stand the Surfer came with, but I want to use Galactus's hands to be grabbing the other heroes. So this way, I can still have the Surfer flying around. I think it is pretty effective. I'm quite happy with that. So Silver Surfer is the only one of the heralds that I'm going to include in this display because honestly, I'm not a fan of the other ones. Morg is okay, but I think he's just okay. I don't really get excited about this figure. I think maybe because I haven't read the old school stories. Well, I say old school. Morg's like a early 90s type character. He's not like super retro, but I don't really have any nostalgia for him, so he doesn't mean that much to me. So I don't need to have him in a display that really we have limited space, so I only want to include the real heavy hitters. And then there's Nova. And honestly, Nova, I gotta say, I think she's a bad looking figure. I hate to be that guy, but I think she looks kind of cheap, kind of just plasticky, and the mannequin head with the bright red lipstick and eyeshadow, it just, no, I'm not a fan. And if there are any Nova fans out there, then I don't mean to besmirch you. But for me personally, when real estate is kind of limited in this display, those two, they gotta sit it out. They got to go on the sidelines. But Silver Surfer, he's going to be carrying the load for the Galactus Heralds. Now let's start building up the Avengers representation with Iron Man. This, of course, is the Mezco Iron Man. I think is it the DX Iron Man? DLX? I get confused with the brands. But this is, for me, my perfect Iron Man because it utilizes the most iconic, classic, red and gold, old school type of armor design, but then Mezco have kind of modernized it just a little bit, just tweaked it in various places to really make it look like a piece of modern technology that Tony Stark would wear in the present, but it's got those retro aesthetics. I really love that. Then you can throw on the blast effects, the repulsor rays, all that kind of thing. Really, really brings the figure to life. And of course, we've got Galactus with his movable digits. So you have so much creativity with what you can do with his hands grabbing and holding different heroes. So then we can go over to our other iron suit wearing person. It's War Machine. And we've got Deluxe War Machine over here. Rhodey in the other hand. And I did get the 20th anniversary, or sorry, not 20th anniversary, it's the retro style cardback War Machine. So I could weigh them up against one another. And ultimately I decided, you know what, I'm going to keep the classic original Deluxe. He's got an extra blast effect, and I prefer the shiny chrome kind of silver. So he's the one I'm going for. Although, I gotta say, the new one, he is pretty. He is really pretty, but he just has more of a cartoony kind of aesthetic. And I wanted to go a bit more real. A bit more real with this one. So this also gives a perfect excuse for him to have all of those great effect pieces on there as well. So we've got the Gatling gun and the bazooka, the machine gun, the missiles, all that kind of stuff. And it makes sense because if Galactus grabbed me by the leg, I'd probably be mashing all the buttons as well. So that works. And speaking of working, man, renew your vows, Spider-Man. Holy potatoes. I just love this figure so much. And he fits perfectly on Galactus's head. It just works so well with his wall crawling hand stuck to the side of his head. That just tickles me. I really like that. So he's got the retro, sorry, not the retro Spider-Man head. He's got the sensational Ben Reilly head. And I think that kind of works quite well for a classic Spider-Man. And I much prefer Ben Reilly having the big, wide Renew Your Vows eyes. But yeah, I would like to feature Spider-Man more prominently in the display because I feel like he maybe gets a little bit lost up there. But at the same time, it's just too perfect of a pose to not have him there. So then after Spider-Man, we're going to bring in some mutant representation. Because it's got to be the whole Marvel Universe going up against Galactus. So I'm going to bring in Mafex Gambit. Because again, I want to brighten up this display as much as possible. And Gambit with that beautiful playing card arc being thrown out there. You've got that wonderful luminous pink. I think it's so dang pretty. And then if we can just about sort of wedge the flight stand in there as well. So it looks like he's either jumping towards or jumping away, but he's hurling those playing cards down there. It gives a real dynamic aspect to the display, makes it feel like it's coming alive, and I love that. That Gambit, he's one of my favorite figures. Mafex did a fantastic job with him. And speaking of Mafex, we have my newest figure, which a review is going up of very soon. We got Jean Grey from Mafex. And I gotta say, as far as figure upgrades go, that's entirely up to your own personal perspective. I think she's a really nice figure. But if you have the Love Triangle 3-pack Jean Grey, you don't necessarily need this new one. But I do love her grimacing, battling kind of expression. And we'll just balance her, just kind of wedge her a little bit against the arm here. One thing that I couldn't quite get on board with the Mafex designs is that they don't have the thigh swivel. So I can't quite get her legs in what looks like a natural kind of flying pose to my eye, but she'll still do nicely there. And most importantly for me, it looks like she's in a battle. And that works really well. Because when the face doesn't match the situation, we have something a bit like what we have with our next figure, Doctor Strange. You can see Doctor Strange here, he's a little too calm. You're battling the Devourer of Worlds, dude. You might want to look a bit more intense, you know? He's a little too relaxed as Doctor Strange. But I'll forgive it, because this figure is so damn pretty. This has got to be one of the best Marvel Legends of the year. Easy breezy. No question about it. He's going to be a top contender. And hey, we've only got a couple of months left until that list is, going to be in the making. So that's one to look forward to. Doctor Strange here with the great spell effects, though. that's nice to have. And I gotta say, his plastic cape, I've become more appreciative of cloth goods over the last year, but the plastic cape does actually help wedge him into the corner, so it actually does come in handy. I like having him there. I just wish that his face was a little bit more animated. That would have tipped it over the edge to be really, really great. And speaking of plastic capes coming into their own, we've got the Scarlet Witch, the retro Marvel Legends Scarlet Witch. I was gonna sell her, but I saw her in my box to go, and she was just so bright and colourful. I thought, I dig the brighter pinks, and she's just a really pretty figure. So I'm really glad that I decided to keep hold of her and not just get rid of her. And now she goes perfectly with the Avengers in this Galactus display. She's one of the figures I would really love to see a Mafex or a Mezco do another version of, with lots of crazy spell effects and cloth capes and all that kind of thing. But until they do, this Marvel Legend is really pretty, and the cape just hooks over the bar of the Detolf so conveniently. It's actually perfect for this display. It looks like she's just flying up there into the battle. I really, really like that. So the only proviso is, again, a more animated looking face sculpt I think would be great. Lots of people say that they love this Scarlet Witch face sculpt, and I think it does look good, but I just prefer it to look like, she was a bit more intense. Now we got someone who may arguably be a little bit out of their league in this fight, but I appreciate you showing up. And that's Daredevil, the Mezco Netflix Daredevil. He's actually my favorite Daredevil. I've had the ketchup and mustard and the Defenders box set one, and they're great, but I just love the layering of the costume with the different materials, the leather style with the Kevlar look. It's great. And look at his face. He's grimacing. He's in a battle. I mean, I'd be grimacing too. I'd be like, whoa, we're dealing with some pretty cosmic powers here. Where's Bullseye? Can I go fight him? So he's just hanging out on the side here. But again, the structure of the Detolf really lends itself to being able to just, wedge some guys in there, and he fits really well. I gotta say though, I might have to replace him with the 3-pack when the 3-pack turns up, because dang, it looks good. I'm really looking forward to that. That's gonna be great. Now then, we're gonna move across to the lower levels here. So first of all, probably one of the most important characters for Galactus, you gotta have the Watcher. But I am gonna put the Watcher closer to the back of the display because he's a big bald baby. I mean, he's not the most interesting figure. So I feel like he does need to be represented, especially because there are a few omissions who aren't here, who really should be. But hey, I can only have so many, and I only own so many figures. So the Watcher, he can go at the back there. That's fine. And then if we're dealing with a cosmic big bad event, then you got to have the ultimate cosmic big bad, and that is Thanos. And it's Mezco Thanos, one of my absolute favorite figures. And I know I might be on an island here, all of my own, saying that he's one of my faves, but a lot of people are joining me. It's becoming a little bit crowded here on Mezco Thanos Island, where we all get together and talk about how we love this much maligned figure. I think he's terrific. So Thanos gets pride of place in the center there. And then we've got another Marvel legend. So don't go saying I'm a figure snob. I love all brands equally. And this Thor, this is the best Thor you're going to find. This 80th anniversary Marvel Legends Thor, I would go so far as to give him a chef's kiss. I think he's fantastic. Only bad side of it is that his face, again, is so neutral. This is a huge, big cosmic battle for the fate of the Earth here. And Thor is just like, what day is it today? It's Tuesday. Okay. Guess I'm going to fly around. So if they just had a more grimacing, going into battle, God of Thunder kind of face, that would look so much better. But nonetheless, that's what has tempted me to pre-order the Mafex Thor. But I just don't think he's going to scale that great. I have a sneaking suspicion he's going to be a little bit small. I'll only know when we see him in hand, but I'm not going to run that risk of spending the money on him and getting him and then being like, ah, man. So I think I'll stick with the Legends. Then we're going to go over to the Hulk. And of course, for me, it's the Select Hulk with the shirt from 80th anniversary, because that just ties the whole figure together so well. And this Hulk is almost a bit of a problem because he takes up so much space. He takes up so much room. You have to really work to position him as best you can to fit everything in place. But if you can do that, if you can just jimmy him in, then he's great. He just dominates, but also in the good way because he fills up a lot of what would otherwise be negative space. I don't want to have too many gaps, but also I don't want it to look too cluttered either. It's a real fine line, which comes down to your own personal perspective as well. But yeah, Hulk just coming across there, he looks great. And what would Hulk be without Wolverine? One of his best sparring partners. And that's currently probably one of my favorite figures, Mezco Wolverine. Ah, he's just so beautiful. So Mezco Wolverine in any display, he's going to be jumping out like into the fray. And I know headcanon, I'm thinking, oh, all these guys are fighting Thanos, but then these guys on the ground are sort of running away. What's going on there? And then that's fine. As far as I'm concerned, there's some other big bad that they're also trying to contend with off screen. Either that, or there's so much destruction and mayhem going on that all these other heroes are running out to save civilians. You know, it makes sense. You just gotta kayfabe it a little bit. But Wolverine, yeah, absolute pride of place right there. So then, finally, the last hero for this display has gotta be the Sentinel of Liberty, Captain America, leading the charge. Again, headcanon going out to rescue those civilians, and it's the Mezco Captain America. Now this could go either way, quite frankly, between Mezco and 20th anniversary, because that 20th anniversary, man, again, right up there as one of the Marvel Legends of the year. Just so bright and bold. He is absolutely just a gorgeous, gorgeous action figure. But with this particular display, it's not too bright. It's not too bold, this display, but it is very detailed, and that's where Mezco come to the forefront. So much going on with this Captain America costume, the details on him with the pockets, pouches, boots, belts, all that kind of thing. And a big problem with this Captain America is that his pants ride up so high. But if you have him in a running pose like this, you can get away with it. So we'll pop Captain America on the shelf there with that great determined kind of look on his face, and that really brings this whole display together. Alright, confession time. When I was recording the voiceover for this video, I completely forgot that I put Cyclops in this display. Poor old Scott. He always seems to draw the short straw, and he shouldn't. This figure's great. Again, going back to Mezco, and it's one of those Marmite things. I completely understand. You either love them, like I do, or you think he's wearing pajamas. But what they've done with this one is add some extra paneling onto the suit and some piping, which makes it look more tactical, more like combat gear. Which, again, other folks don't like because it's not comic accurate. He's not even wearing the yellow underpants. But honestly, when my eyes kind of get used to seeing Cyclops that way, I absolutely dig him. And then especially with the great optic blast effect coming out the front there, it just ties the whole display together. So you've got action just leaping out from every different angle. Man, sorry I forgot about you there, Scott. You deserve a little bit more recognition. Look at that. Now the display is complete. Almost. But now we just need couple of little accoutrements, little bit of decoration, I reckon. So I've got some of these great barrels, and I've got the Spider-Man No More trash can here. I was going to say bin, but you know what? I'll make this more American. Trash can. I'll pop that over there, and then we can decorate with just a little bit of debris, a few bits and pieces around here. And also, I pinched a couple of fire effects from the Storm Mortal Kombat Scorpion, because that works really well. To have these guys charging through the flames, because that's what heroes do, man. They charge through the flames and save the day. So there we go. And that does it for the Galactus display. We can take it all in here. And of course, the Fantastic Four are the biggest missing components and pieces. I was hoping that the Mezco ones would have arrived before Galactus, but that was a little bit of naive wishful thinking on my part. One day, the Mezco Fantastic Four will drop, and then I'll be able to completely rearrange the display to feature them most prominently, especially when Doom comes out as well. Oh, then we're really going to be talking. In the meantime, though, for some wide Marvel Universe representation, I'm really happy with how this is. We go all the way from street-level type heroes with Daredevil and Spider-Man, then going on up to the Avengers, Captain America, Hulk. We got some X-Men wrapped up in there as well. Then, of course, Silver Surfer representing the more cosmic side. I'm really pleased with this. And again, can of Coke to Hasbro for nailing this Haslab. This is how it's done. This is how we do it. Yeah, I'm chuffed to bits with this Galactus, and I'm so pleased with what they've done with this guy. 10 out of 10. Chef's kiss.
Chill. Yeah.